Hi, Shirley here, and I am with the daily transit. Sorry for the horrid video quality. It's evening here where I'm at in Israel. And today's chosen channel transit, it's chosen by my guidance, by the way, is actually the moon in Leo oppositioning Jupiter in Aquarius. So, without further ado, let's get to channeling the transit, see what wants to come up. Okay, so the moon in Leo is the heart emotions and its expansion of the heart, right? Moon is the water element and it is nourishment, so expansion of the heart, especially with the connection to Jupiter. And Jupiter is expansion, but it is in Aquarius, so expansion of the mind. Now they are in opposition, and that can mean the heart and the mind are in conflict. And so you have to find the right position in which you can combine the heart and the mind. And position can also be a physical thing in the body. What position are you sitting in or standing in? When you do your job, when you do your daily tasks. So using your bodily position to kind of realign the heart and the mind. That's interesting. I did not expect to find any bodily message from this transit. It's just, oh yeah, what more? Oh, of course, yes. So Jupiter, of course, is our position, also philosophically, our opinion. So what position? It's not just the body, the matter, yeah? What position is the body so that the mind can think clearly, but it also goes the other way around. What position do we hold? What philosophy do we hold? What beliefs do we hold in our mind, on our nervous system? On our nervous system, Aquarius, and to understand if that position is contributing to our well-being, we can use the heart. So to understand if our position on a matter is correct, we can check with the heart. So these two are not in contradiction as they seem, but we need, as with any opposition, I've spoken about it when I talked about the Sun opposition in Uranus. As with any opposition, we want to give a little bit of one side to the other and a little bit of the other, to the first. It's like a yin-yang thingy, okay? Or a relationship when you grow with a partner. Then if you're complementary and you're different, then you want a little bit of your partner and your partner wants a little bit of you, and then you can grow together. So it looks like a conflict, but actually to resolve the conflict of the opposition, each side needs to take a little bit of the other. So for the heart to check itself, it needs to look to the mind. Okay, what position is my body in? Is my body in a correct position to breathe in deeply? To let the heart, the seat of the soul, nourish and be a nourishing place for the soul, for Shem to land. And is my mind, the position that I'm holding, my beliefs about the world, my beliefs about the subject matter, is my mind correct? To know this, I check with the heart. How is the heart doing? How is the heart beating? How is the heart feeling? Is it open? Is it expansive? Okay, so you need to have alignment of the heart and mind. Anything more? Yes. Political affairs. Oh my gosh, I did not read the news. I don't know anything about political affairs now. Okay. the heart of the people and the mind of the masses. So it's not the regime versus people as we would have like with Capricorn or 10th house, 4th house. Not that Capricorn is 10th house. Different things. Both relate to that. But more like the mind of the masses versus the heart of the people. How about this? Is that true? Yes. What does that mean? I get things and I need to understand them. What does that mean? The mind of the masses. Collective consciousness. Not collective subconsciousness, collective consciousness. What people are aware of. Okay, so what we see in the news, what we hear about in the media, what is the collective discourse, the collective beliefs that we are aware of, versus how we feel in our heart. So, politically, the heart of the people can be resistant to what they see in the media. I have a question concerning that. Is that the thing, like when people are resisting what they see in the media and they go, oh, it's the government, but it's actually the people? Oh, yeah. Can I tell the story about the Green Pass in Israel? I should. Yes, okay. So in Israel we have a Green Pass. This has been happening for a while now, and it's back to business, at least until Jupiter hits Pisces again. And what happens is people who resist the Green Pass, a lot of them are like, oh, the government is stupid. Why are they doing this? They're oppressing the people. This is not fair. They're oppressing individual rights. And it doesn't make any sense because if you're vaccinated, it doesn't mean that you cannot infect others. It means that if you catch the disease and it works for you, then you're very likely not to catch it as difficult as you would if you would not be vaccinated. So that's the rationale of being vaccinated. So being vaccinated does not mean you do not put others in danger. And so knowing that, it means that there is no rationale ethically to limit the freedom of movement of people, regardless of your opinion about vaccination. And so the Green Pass is basically an irrational, oppressive method to limit the freedoms of people. So many people would resist that and say, oh, this is the government. It makes sense, right? It makes sense. Position, Jupiter in Aquarius. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to do a Green Pass, so the government probably wants to do it. But no, this is not the Capricorn thing. It's actually with our Prime Minister Bennett. He did not want to close the economy. He insisted on not closing coffee houses, on not closing the business, on not closing the sky. He wanted the economy working because of his political opinions. He's a liberal, and in Israel, liberal it means a lot more capitalist. I know in the States, liberal is something else. So liberal basically means that the belief in the power of the market. And so the oppression of the Green Pass was not coming from Bennett, but actually from him giving in to the pressure of the people. The people would not go to a cafe. The people would not go to shop. They would not go to a closed place. They would be afraid of the virus. And so he had to agree to have something like a Green Pass, which will encourage people to go to the cafes and say, oh, there's a Green Pass there, it's safe. It means nothing. But sort of like the government had to cave into the reasoning of the people. So there are very irrational people who think that they believe in science, but they don't actually know how a vaccine works. And they demanded oppression. They demanded legal steps against people who do not get vaccinated for whatever medical reasons, which is a medical discourse. And so it seems like the oppression, when we look at the news, it seems like, oh, the government is oppressing us, but no, it's actually the mind of the masses, the collective consciousness of the masses, or the collective fears of the masses, are creating a situation that is against the heart of the people. And so politically, people may tend to blame the government or blame the regime. Not that the regime is perfect, for something that they need to be looked into the reasons of the masses. Should I talk about Pluto in Aquarius? Yes. Oh, yes. So, Pluto, in a couple of years, will finish its course in Capricorn. So, Pluto in Capricorn has made a lot of exposure about the banking system. And a little tip for you, if you are tempted to blame the tycoons for controlling the world, no, look to the banking system. When I was in a conference, a financial conference in 2011, I was working for an insurance company, and I just took a chance and, went to that conference. And next to me was sitting a person who owned a couple of buildings in Berlin. I barely had money for food back then, even though I was an employee in an insurance company. And we were just sitting and talking, and, we both did not have a driving license, and we find, a common language together, and it was a good person. And he looks at, at the crowd, and tells me, you see these people, you see these tycoons, they were like the richest people of Israel, Teshuvah and Lev Levayev and all of those. And he said, you see them. He said, you see the bank, the name of the bank. It was the host was the name of the bank that hosted the event. And he said, you see this bank. He grabs these people, and pardon my language, I'm quoting him, by the balls and tell them to come there. He said, if the bank tells them to come here, they all show up because they're dependent on the banks. So do not hate on tycoons. Do not hate on people. Look to the banking system. Look to the trading system. When you trade a stock, you don't trade a stock for the worth of the company. You trade a stock for the price of the stock, for the worth of the stock. And who creates that bubble? The trading system. And there's a lot more that I can go on and on and on and on. So Pluto in Capricorn exposed that, and we're going to be continuing to see these things coming up in the future, in the coming years. But then Pluto is going to go to Aquarius. And Aquarius is not about the hierarchy, it's not about the banking system, it's not about the government, it's about the people. And right now, with Saturn and Jupiter, we're getting a chance to sort of like realign our collective consciousness. We're getting a chance to open our minds and our hearts and align them and see through to the truth of things in the passage of time, Saturn. Because if we don't, Pluto is going to come to Aquarius, and Pluto is not about abuse, it's about exposure of abuse. And Pluto is going to expose all the collective consciousness of the masses. So this will not be about the people upstairs being exposed or the system up there being exposed, but about us being exposed. Is that okay? Should I talk about this? The last time Pluto exposed something about the nervous system, it was when Pluto was in Gemini. And it was between 1988 to 1914, if we include the direct movement after the retrograde. The retrograde movement after, yeah, whatever. So back then, we had a passage of time in which collective unconsciousness was exposed, and the taboos, for example, around pedophilia was exposed. Writing about pedophilia as an erotic tendency in 1903. So that was exposed. And then it was not the government or religious institutions. It was us, the people, our taboos, our sexual taboos, our sexual tendencies, our relationship to the children. How do we treat children? So all of that was exposed by Pluto. And so when Pluto reaches Aquarius, he's not going to expose the people out there, but he's going to expose the people right here. It's going to expose what the masses do to the individual. Because Aquarius is both about individuality and about the masses. It's that paradox of the oneness and the separation, but in terms of the people, with Neptune and Pisces, it's more about energies, existence, cosmology, cosmology in the spiritual sense, in the energy sense, in the spirit and matter sense. Yes, I have an ascendant in Pisces. I do a spirit of matter, or a matter of spirit podcast. But the paradox of the oneness and the individual in Aquarius is the people, is space. It's also cosmology, but more from a science point of view, from a macro perspective. And so Pluto is going to expose on the micro and the macro level all of the abuse of power of the masses and the oppression of the individual. Perhaps also of individualistic view on other individuals, or overly individualistic view, or overly communal view. Okay, when we are over too much to the oneness, too much to the communism, or too much to the socialism, or too much to the capitalism, that can also be a Pluto in Aquarius sort of preview. I should probably make a video about Pluto in Aquarius. But yeah, that one wanted to come. Let's see if there's another thing wanting to come. No, that was enough. That's enough for now. And I'll see you in my next video. So people, you are invited to share, comment, like, subscribe, click the bell. I don't always look this dark, only when I record in the evening. And have a beautiful day. Let me know where is the Aquarius-Leo axis in your chart. And I can give you a small delineation that is channeled especially for you. So I will, when I channel, I see what I'm allowed to see in your energy, to give you a message. So this is not just me reading your chart, which I could not possibly do here, but basically me channeling for you. And you just need to give me your axis for the Leo and Aquarius houses in your chart. Try to do it the whole sign, because that's how I work, but you don't have to. And I'll give you a channeled message right here in the comments below. So have a lovely day, evening, transit, and stay strong. Bye-bye.